Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Jane Grace, and I'm holding a 6.5-pound tomato.
Number 2.
My name is Jane Grace, and I'm holding a 200-pound watermelon.
And number 3.
My name is Jane Grace, and I'm holding an 82-inch gourd.
Only one of these people is the real Jane Grace and has sworn to tell the truth. And now, from Studio 6A, New York's Rockefeller Center, let's meet our panel. Star of Broadway films, TV, and recording, Soupy Sales, the toast of Good Morning America, Pat Collins. Celebrating his 28th year as host of American Bandstand, Dick Clark. And what would an all-star panel be without Peggy Cass? And here's the host of To Tell the Truth, Robin Ward.
Not a bad group, a very good group. It's great to see you. I'm glad you could join us. Pally, you're looking good. You saw all those vegetables out here before the show. I've got to say this before we start, that the watermelon and the tomato are accurate, full-size models of the original garden product, and the gourd is real. You know, so I just want to, and if you don't think that, you're out of your gourd, as far as I can tell. Let's get right down to the problem presented by our first team of challengers, all three of whom claim to be Jane Grace. And would you open your envelopes, please, and follow along as I read. I, Jane Grace, am the owner of Grace's Gardens and publisher of the world's most unusual seed catalog. It features seeds for hundreds of kinds of fruits, flowers, and vegetables from all over the globe, and contains photos of plants that have grown to amazing proportions, just like those you just saw. Many people write to me about their garden gargantuas. I offer prize money to those who set records and purchase the championship seeds for resale through the catalog. Thanks to my interest in these immense edibles, I have also become the official horticultural authenticator for the Guinness Book of World Records. Signed, Jane Grace. And welcome, ladies. Good to have you here. And hello to the vegetables. Nice to see you. And panelists, ladies, all claim to be horticulturalist Jane Grace. Let's start the questioning with Soupy Sales.
Thank you. That watermelon and a tomato, man, you could, some BTL would be great, wouldn't you? A thing like that. Number 1, how did you come up on the thing of discovery of how to grow large plants like that?
We do not grow them. People write to us and tell them that they have grown them.
Oh, number 2, you mean to say this is not one of your products?
No.
Well, number 3, what do you do when they send these to you?
Well, I authenticate, you know, their size, etc. And sometimes we buy the seed to sell through our catalog.
Number 1.
And we go to Pat Collins.
Number 2, what is that? That's in front of the 1, the 2, and the 3. Is that a yam or a
This? The gourd.
It's a gourd.
That's a real one.
That's a real gourd,
A real
all of it. How would that tomato, those oversized vegetables of any kind, the tomato, number 2, how would it taste?
The tomato is a delicious variety, and it is truly delicious.
Tastes like a real tomato. Number 3, what is the very largest veggie in the Guinness Book of World Records, or largest plant that you've authenticated?
Well, there's a 500-pound squash.
It's great for Thanksgiving. Number 1, there's a common Christmas plant that's poisonous, and actually if a little child ate it, he or she'd have a problem. What plant is that?
There's 2 of them. One would be a mistletoe, and one would be a poinsettia.
And we go to Dick Clark.
Number 2, that thing that's laid out in front of all of you, does that grow straight down into the ground?
No.
Does it? Oh, I see it lies on top of the ground. I was going to say, you have to have a heck of a garden if it was
Very
that.
good,
What do I know?
Very good.
Number 3, I know that's a model, but the real watermelon, what did that weigh?
200 pounds.
200-pound watermelon? Number 1, one of your friendly competitors' companies has the name Burpee on it. What was Mr. Burpee's first name? Do you know, number 2, what Burpee's first name was?
Orville.
Say again?
Orville.
Thank you very much. Number 3, how deep do you plant peas?
I Not
don't
really a
plant
gardener.
peas.
No.
And we go to Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Number one, how do they get purple broccoli?
Mostly with dyes when they're planted.
With dyes?
Dyes when they're planted.
They throw like dye into the ground?
It doesn't harm you if you eat it. It's just for looks.
Oh, I think it looks awful myself anyway. Number two, who was Luther Burbank?
He was a botanist.
Okay. Now, number one, do you really agree that tomato would taste good?
Yes, it is a delicious tomato, truly.
Well, number two, wouldn't a tomato like that's so enormous just hang down and break the vine?
Well, you have to prop them up to some degree. Obviously, it would.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are the vines
They're
stalks?
ringing that bell, panel. That means the time is up and discussion is over. And now it's time to vote for number one, for number two, or for number three. Whoever, in your opinion, is the real Jane Grace. And we pay $100 for each incorrect vote. And 4 incorrect votes will give our team of challengers $500. Are the ballots all marked, panel? Soupy, who got your vote?
Well, I thought they all three were great, but number one knew that you shouldn't eat mistletoe. You should just kiss under that, and it's more fun on the lips than on the and also that I think it's number one. She seemed to
Okay,
know.
and Pat, who'd you vote for?
I also think it's number one. She just
All right.
looks like the right tuck.
And Dick, what about you?
Number one turned me off for a minute because she didn't know Mr. Burpee's first name is W. Atlee Burpee, the most famous seed man in the world. But then when I listened to number two call him Orville, I knew she wasn't the one. I never got to, it's got to be number one.
Okay. And Peg, who got your
Well, I
vote?
didn't believe Orville either, but she, number one, I can't believe they throw purple dye on top of broccoli seeds and it comes out that funny color, so I voted for number three.
All right, the votes are all in, and now we're going to find out which of these ladies, in fact, is the record authenticating horticulturalist. You try and say that. Will the real Jane Grace please stand up?
I've been wiped out.
Come on.
Okay.
I think I lost for Orville.
Before we clear up the matter of Orville, let's find out who our imposters are. Number one, you got yourself 3 votes. Could you tell us, please, who you are and what you do?
My name is Betty Jo Newman. I own the Tickle Pink Petunia Antique Shop in West New York, New Jersey.
And number 3, you aided and abetted in the downfall of our panel. Could you tell us about yourself, please?
My name is Angie Smith. I'm a housewife and mother of 4 children, and I have a brown thumb.
Jane, Orville? Why Orville?
Talk about drawing a blank.
Oh, just a little. Well, everybody makes mistakes. We'll allow you
Heading
that
off
to
the
work.
Thank you.
There was a complete skunk. There were 4 incorrect votes, giving you the jackpot of $500. We forgive you, Orville, and we forgive you everything. Thanks for joining us on To Tell the Truth. And we'll be back after these words, so don't go away. Why buy? We are back, and let's meet our next team of challengers.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Robert McHugh.
Number 2.
My name is Robert McHugh.
And number 3.
My name is Robert McHugh.
All right, panel, once again, would you open your envelopes and follow along as I read? I, Robert McHugh, am a detective with the New Jersey State Police. Recently, I was involved in an undercover police operation in Atlantic City called Operation Seashore. It was initiated because of the alarming rise in property and street crime since the advent of legalized gambling in that resort community. Posing as businessmen, we opened a storefront and let it be known that we would be willing to buy drugs and other hot merchandise, including gold and silver. In 18 months, we recovered more than $500,000 worth of stolen property. As a result of Operation Seashore, 112 persons were indicted, including 1 policeman. Signed, Robert McHugh. And welcome, gentlemen. It's good to have you on the show. And panel, these three gentlemen all claim to be New Jersey State Police Detective Robert McHugh. Let's start the questioning with Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Mr. McHugh, number 3, why do you think that kind of crime is happening in Atlantic City?
Because of the influx in casino gambling.
Well, is it because people have lost their shirts and they're out clipping stuff to pawn? Number 1?
Say that question
again. Is it
again?
because people have lost money and they're stealing stuff so they get away money?
No, it's because of the influx of the type of people, let's say gambling and so forth, and you now have the people who were already there working off them.
But number 2, I thought that Atlantic City was supposed to be so supervised and so clean and so wonderful for Atlantic City. It doesn't seem that it turned out that way, right?
Well, it is supervised. The gambling is supervised, but the street crime is rampant.
Well, number 3, you always had street crime in Atlantic City, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, I mean...
And we go to Soupy Sales.
Number 1, the property that was sold to you, was that from the Atlantic City area or from other states?
Basically from the Atlantic City area.
Number 2, were you able to track it because of the serial numbers?
Yes.
Number 3, was it all recovered for the people where the property who had been stolen from?
Some of the property has not yet been identified.
Number 1, these people who had their property stolen, did they come to you to see if you had any of their property?
Well, no. Normally we have lists of all the property that is stolen, and then we refer those people to try and have them identify it.
Number 2.
And we go to Pat Collins.
Number 3, what are the names of the 2 biggest hotels in Atlantic City now, recently remodeled?
Resorts International and Caesars.
Number 1, was this a dangerous assignment? Any close calls?
A number of times, not too many.
Can you name one in particular?
Yes, one day our store was almost held up.
Oh, that would have been inconvenient. There goes the case. Number 2, can you tell me the difference between an indictment and a conviction?
Well, an indictment is where we think the person committed the crime, and the grand jury would indict him on that information. A conviction would be after the jury hears the case and convicts the person.
Number 3, do it.
And we go to Dick Clark.
Well, I'll pick up with number 3. What kind of a store was this? What did you call it?
It was called Seashore Sales, and it was a gold and silver buying store.
Where was it located, number 1?
It's on Atlantic Avenue.
On Atlantic Avenue. Number 2, was there any insinuation that this might be entrapment, that you were inducing people to take part in illegal activities?
Not really. Not the way we operated.
Number 3, what'd you sell the most of, gold, silver, or drugs?
We didn't sell anything. We bought.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you resold.
No.
Oh, I misunderstood. Number 1, if you bought, how did people find? Were you a pawn shop? How did they get to you?
No, what we did is, while we opened the store, we ourselves infiltrated into bars, got to know various people who were questionable in the area and so forth.
You were a fence.
So ringing that bell, that means time is up. And now it's time, panel, to vote for number 1, for number 2, or for number 3, whoever you think is the real Robert McHugh. Another ballot's all marked, panel. Peggy, who'd you vote for?
Oh, you see, number 3 looks as though his name is Robert McHugh to me. The singing Irish cop. I voted for him.
Okay. You'd make a great detective.
Soupy, who got you?
I thought all 3 were great, but I don't know this. 3 is my choice.
All right, Pat?
I think, number 2, you're a New York City policeman. I've seen you around. Maybe that doesn't say anything about me being arrested. And number 1, I agree with Peggy. Doesn't look like a policeman. Number 3, have we done it to ourselves again?
Are you going to make
Folks,
this unanimous,
Oh,
Dick?
no.
This is the week.
Is it. We've done this all week long.
One more time.
Sink or swim,
All
Dick
right,
Clark.
okay. This is unanimous. Now we're going to find out which of these people worked undercover in Atlantic City with a real Robert McHugh. Please stand up.
It's 1.
We've redeemed ourselves.
Panel, you have redeemed you. Actually, you've been
Does
doing
it
very
say
well.
anything for this panel that they can spot a cop, but they can't pick out a horticulturalist?
It says a great deal, Dick.
That's all, but no, we don't want to say that.
Let's find out who our
I think
imposters are.
I'm
Number
choosing
1,
it.
would you tell us, please, who you are and what you do?
My name is John Kavanaugh. I'm in sales with the Textile Corporation, Clinton Mills.
Oh, great to have you. And number 2, could you tell us about yourself, please?
My name is Bob Peterson, and I am responsible for the studios at CBS Broadcast Center, where Pat used to work.
Oh, that's...
He said he was a New York policeman. Pat thought you were a cop she'd seen on the beat down in... Robert, this was a pretty dangerous assignment for all of you, I guess. I mean, you're working with a criminal element, you're going to bars, you're setting up things, and eventually, when you made all these arrests, your cover was blown. And does that mean that you'll never be able to go into undercover operations again?
Well, we might be able to at a later date in a different area, but certainly not in Atlantic City.
Unfortunately, there were no incorrect votes. Our panel is just too sharp. You won no money, gentlemen, but perhaps you can redeem yourselves on the one-on-one. Thank you for joining us on To Tell the Truth. Thank you. And we'll be back after these messages with more of this. So if you can stay, we'd appreciate it.
This week.
We're back, and it's time to play one-on-one. And here are 4 people you have met before. Panel, you of course remember Betty Jo and Angie, who were imposters for Jane Grace, and of course John and Bob, who pretended to be undercover policeman John McHugh. Now you do know something about these people, but there's one fact that we have withheld from you until this very moment. But first we'd like you to watch, before you start playing this game, this film of the finish of the 1976 Kentucky Derby. Just look down at the monitor here and you'll see a horse race.
Further back on the slide, gaining. Coming to the wire, it's Bull Forbes, the leader, with Honest Pleasure driving. It's Bull Forbes and Honest Pleasure. They're going to come to the wire together. Honest Pleasure the outside, Bull Forbes on the inside. Honest Pleasure, Bull Forbes. Bull Forbes has as they come to the wire. At the finish, it will be Bull Forbes. He wins at 1 length. Honest Pleasure is second. Elocution is third. Amano fourth. On the slide.
Okay, panel, one of these 4 people was an owner of Bold Forbes, the horse you just saw win the 1976 Kentucky Derby. It's up to you to find out which one, and we're going to start with Soupy. If you're ready to question Bob, start now.
All right, Bob, how much money did you win?
$165,000.
Who was the jockey?
Angel Cordero.
Uh-huh. And how many, where's Bold Forbes now?
In Kentucky.
Is he still running?
No, he's syndicated.
He's syndicated? I wish I was syndicated.
Does Bob own part of that horse? Yes, or no? That's a yes for Bob. And Pat, if you're ready to question John, please start.
Mm-hmm. John, what are the other races in the Triple Crown?
The Preakness and the Belmont Stakes.
Do you remember who the governor of Kentucky was at the time you won the Derby?
Not offhand, no.
What time of year does the Derby take place?
The Derby takes place the first Saturday in May.
First Saturday in May. How much money did you win?
$165,000.
Was John part owner of Bold Forbes? Yes
No.
or no? That's a no for John. And Dick, if you're ready to question Angie, please hit it.
Angie, you can tell I'm a real racing fan. What kind of drinks do they serve at the Derby?
Mint juleps.
Oh, very good. What's a furlong?
1/8 of a mile.
What year was that? Quickly.
1976.
Son of a gun, I didn't catch her. How much did the jockey weigh?
Their weight for the race was 126 pounds.
What was the second horse in the race?
Did Angie own part of Bold
Not a
Forbes?
chance.
That's a no for Angie. And Peggy, if you're ready to question Betty Jo, please start.
Thank you. What state is the Preakness run in?
Kentucky.
And what state is the Belmont Stakes run in?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Baltimore.
Okay, what's the length of the Belmont? What's the distance?
3.
The distance of the Belmont. You know, when they race the Belmont.
3 miles.
Thank you. And what's the...
Did Betty Jo own part of Bold Forbes, yes or no?
I have to disqualify myself because I happen to know one of those people.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize it at the time, but it just came to me that I know one of those
We
people.
have a disqualification, which counts as a vote for you people, so you're ahead of the game. The decisions have been made then, and it's now time for the truth. Will the real horse owner and part owner of Bold Forbes, to Kentucky Derby winner, please stand up? Dick Clark gave her the most emphatic no I've ever heard on this show. Angie, we have a couple of pictures taken of this big day. Must have been a great day in your life. Well, maybe you could tell us what's happening down here. Look at the monitor and we'll see.
That is right after the race, and there's Angel Cordero, with his victory sign.
It's a pretty
very
well-known
excited.
jockey.
He was, I'm from Puerto Rico, and, he's Puerto Rican, so he was, that's at the Belmont Stakes. not the Derby.
Must be the thrill of your life, though, when your horse
It
wins
really
the-
was. Yes, it's marvelous.
Is it true that male horses run that fast because they're in a hurry to get put out to stud, or is that just a rumor?
Probably.
Okay, there were 3 incorrect votes and 1 disqualification, which gives you $400. Thank you for joining us on One-on-One. Angie, good luck on the track. Thanks so much. And we'll be back. We'll be back after these words. I was so excited about the horse race that I gave our last team of one-on-one challengers $100 too much, and our producers have informed me that it's going to be taken out of my check, so they will get the $400. Panel, we're right out of time. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for
Thanks,
joining us.
Robin.
And you will see you the same time next time on To Tell the Truth. Thank you for coming.
This is Alan Coffey speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Dixon, Bill Todman production.